that all of your amazing Chris Uphues hearts have been created. Now we can start to add color, baby, color. All right, folks, here's the deal. You've got two kinds of markers. You've got warm colors, which you see on the top left, and you've got cold colors. The warm colors are the first three colors of the rainbow. The cold colors are the last three. You can use any colors that you like. Your rule today when coloring the hearts is to color a thick line of marker around the edges. Now, if you take your cap off your marker, you'll notice that it has two parts. It has a really nice pointy tip if you haven't smashed it into your paper. And then it also has what's called the chisel tip, or that kind of angled line on the side. It takes a little bit of practice, but if you hold your marker on the chisel tip on that side, you can get a nice thick line. You'll want to do 2, maybe even 3 nice thick lines with the chisel tip around the edge of the heart. If you want to take it a step further, you could even add a little bit of color inside of the small details, like maybe the eyes, the eyelids, like I'm doing here, or inside of the mouth. That's your choice. But like I said, you can use any colors you like. You're just making sure to put at least 2 lines, at least meaning no fewer than 2, but you can always do more. The more you add, the more colorful your heart will be when we do our little magic trick in just a moment. But if you only add a little bit of marker, the trick won't work as well. So make sure to add at least 2 around the edge. All right, now when all of your hearts are finished and you've gone around all of the edges and any details, if you want to, then you can get some water and a paintbrush. And let me show you what's about to happen next. Using just water. I know there's watercolor paint sitting there, but you're not using that watercolor paint. Using just water, you're going to add water on top of your marker lines and then bring that diluted or watered down color over toward the center of your heart. You see, you are using what's called water-soluble markers, meaning they're made out of 2 ingredients, water and pigment, which is a fancy pants word for color, baby, color. Doesn't have nothing to do with pigs. Because you've used a water-soluble marker, when you add water to it, it kind of turns into a form of paint, which is pretty amazing. If you had traced around your edges with different colors of Sharpie, this trick would not work. You'll notice that your Sharpie lines for your heart isn't smearing. The reason is because markers like Sharpies are filled with permanent color or permanent ink. So even though I'm adding water, those lines aren't going anywhere. It's a pretty cool trick and one that you should probably tuck in your little magical art bag of tricks in case you ever want to do something like this for a different art project. So I'm very carefully just waking up the paint on the marker and bringing it toward the middle. Be careful not to add too much water or else you might accidentally put a hole in your paper or worse, end up just making a big old mud puddle of color. So what I would do if I was you is go over those little lines, bring it toward the middle. If the magical paint trick doesn't happen right away, trust me when I say it takes a moment or so before the color starts to move towards the middle, but it'll work. Now that I've got all of these little parts painted, let's talk about how we're going to make the background. And now we're on to painting the background. When you're painting the background, we will be using watercolor paint. It's called watercolor paint because, hello, you got to add water to it. Wake it up with a couple of drops of water in each color. And I'm going to paint little sections of confetti, we'll call it, on parts of my background. I'm only picking 2 colors per portion of my background. And when I change colors, I have to make sure to wash and dry my brush like I always do. My paintbrush, of course, is like a ballerina. She's always on her tippy toes. She never ever scoots around on her bottom because y'all know don't nobody want to go to the booty scootin' ballet. I'm filling each little portion of my masterpiece with 2 colors. And I think I'll use 2 different colors in this section of my painting. And the more colors that you use in different sections, the better, keeping in mind just 2 colors per section. And the reason behind that is because the colors might mix together a little bit. Two colors mixing together will usually create another beautiful new color. So ultimately, it'll look like you used three colors. But if you mix together more than two colors, colors tend to get a little bit what's called muddy, mixed up, and not as beautiful looking. So keep that in mind. Now, your painting might be pretty drippy when you get ready to take it to the drying rack, so please make sure that you carry it like a cafeteria tray filled with food or a paper filled with a beautiful masterpiece, as that's what you've got here. I cannot wait to see how amazingly you paint your hearts and using the marker trick and filling your background with beautiful colors. So let's get started, friends.